Hello. Hello. Happy Monday. Hello. Hello. How are we? Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Are we good? What is up? What is going on? Don't come for me, but I don't have my glasses tonight. So let's pray for us. I left my glasses at work and I am reading documents tonight too. Ironic. But hello, hi everyone. Welcome. Can you guys see me? Yeah, here. Okay, good. Happy Monday. Let's see. I saw Sean B. I saw Tipsy. Shout out to all the mods. I saw Debbie. I saw Lily Lore. I miss you. Hello, hello. Smog Dog. Hi. Okay, so we're going to read two docs tonight. The Christina Formela document. If you don't know who that is, she's an Illinois special ed teacher, and she was having some PDF relationship with a 15-year-old boy. So we're going to read that document, and then we're going to read the Shannon Sharpe document. I know those both have been out for a while. If you're not familiar with the Christina Formela case, that's actually kind of recent. As of March, I made a clip on my it's a 5-minute video on my channel about her arrest. So we're going to watch it, and then I'm going to read the document. And just trigger warning on both of these. These involve assault, children, and crimes against both of those. So we do want to be and stay respectful to, everyone around us in the chat and the victims, etc. But Christina Formela, she was having sex with a student, a 15-year-old boy. So I'm going to play the clip. I made this video. It's a 5-minute clip from my on my channel, and it has like the caption, so you can listen to her being arrested while she's with her husband for this crime, because it was being investigated for some time. So it's really disgusting. But welcome. Hi, my name is Melly. We cover all things true crime. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. After we get through reading these documents, which we do quite frequently here on my channel, we're going to do another live with Karen Reed. I need to get caught up on Karen Reed case, the trial. If you're not familiar with that case, who isn't? I'm a little behind, but we'll get there. I know it's day 5 and I'm on day 3. So I'm going to play day 3 tonight. So I hope you guys can join. I know of both. Yeah, Debbie's been following it. Okay, let me see. I'm going to play the clip. It's brutal, and she acts like she does not know what is going on. This is Christina Formela.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Officer Guzman with Downers Grove. Do you have your license on you?
I don't know if you can read it. Hi, Sean B. Good to see you.
You're Christina?
Yes.
Okay, Christina, do me a favor. Can you step out of the car for me? I know you're confused. I'll explain everything to you. You don't have anything on you? You can just grab whatever you need.
Whatever I need.
Yeah, whatever you need. Like your phone, your purse, go ahead and grab it.
Is she going somewhere? Or?
Yeah, we're going to explain everything to you guys.
Her husband.
Go ahead and grab out. We're not going anywhere right now. Of course.
Imagine how he feels.
I don't understand what's going on here.
I get it, yeah. You can go grab your things.
Can he come with me?
Yes. You stay there for right now, sir. Just stay there, but yes, you can. Now, come on back here.
Should I shut the car off?
Oh. Yeah. Go ahead.
My bad.
Goes off. Okay. So back over here. So we do have an investigation going on. We have to talk to you about it at the police department. Okay. So we're going to explain everything to you there. It's not my investigation. I don't know the full details. We do have to bring you there, though. Okay. So I do have to put you in handcuffs and bring you to the police department. Just a Downers Grove.
Handcuffs?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
I'm like willing to go with you.
I get it. Yeah, unfortunately.
What do I do?
Do me a favor. We just take this off.
Can I ask you
Of course. Yeah. It's not, like I said, it's not my investigation. Obviously, we are here for a reason. So go ahead and turn
I've
around.
never heard of that case, Debbie. I'll have to look into it. I'm shook.
So right now he's being detained, and there is a detective that needs to talk to you at the police
Her
department.
husband is sitting right there. Imagine knowing that he was having
So we'll let
a
your husband know.
student in a classroom.
No, he can just come to the police department as well if he wants to wait for you there.
I'm like,
I get it. You have a lot of questions.
So scared.
Yeah, everything's okay. We just need to talk to you at the police
But
department.
I'm so scared.
Nothing else on your pocket right now? Anything
Just
else?
my phone.
Just your
It's in
phone?
here.
Okay. Okay. All right, we're going to sit in the back of this car. On the other side, once you get to the police department, you'll talk to the detective and he'll explain everything to you.
But you can't even give me like an idea
At the moment,
what this is about.
Other than that, it's an investigation. That's all I can really
Give
tell
her
you.
an idea.
Excuse me, is my husband coming with?
Yeah.
She's 30, by the way. 30 and he was 15.
We're just
Well,
going
it's
down
15.
to so 10 minutes away.
No, I know, but I really would prefer that my husband's with me.
Of course.
Am I in trouble? Like I'm so lost right now.
I'm sure you are. Like I said, I can't answer any questions right now. Just to tell you that right now you're being detained for an investigation and we're bringing you to the police department. And once you get there, they're going to fill you in on everything.
Sure, you don't want a tissue or something?
I'm feeling I'm gonna throw up.
Want a bag?
Now she wants, Debbie. Now she wants to cry. Right, Debbie.
Shauna, can you grab like a bag out of there?
Wait till you see what she was saying.
Hey, can you get like a bag just in case she gets nauseous?
Gross.
I don't know. Do we have any of those MSS bags like laying around the floor?
She's like, what did I do?
Something better than
Officer. She's really gonna act like she don't know.
Or here, if you stay with her, I'll go grab it.
Okay, Breeze. Good to see you. I can't with the crying. I can't with the crying.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
She's like, I'm going to jail. Fake tears. I'm not trying to be mean or inconsiderate, but I mean, come on. You know what you did. You're 30 years old.
Just kind of put it on the floor here, all right?
Okay.
A few paper towels on the floor here if you need it, all right?
Okay. Thank you.
She's out on bond right now.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so that's the video of her crying when she gets arrested. Now we're going to read the doc real quick. This one I got from Plunder, the Shannon Sharpe one I got myself. So we're just going to get to them. We usually get through docs pretty quick here. We read them all the time on my channel. We're document lovers. Well, I am especially. Okay, so this was filed March 25th or 17th, 2025. People of the state of Illinois against Christina and Formella. That's who you were just watching crying in the video. State of Illinois by Robert Berlin, DuPage, Illinois, however you say it, has the in the above caption matter, the defendant has been charged with the following offenses: 1 count of criminal sexual assault, 1 count of aggravated criminal sexual assault, abuse in violation of Code 720, 1 count of aggravated criminal sexual abuse. What's it? Criminal sexual assault? Aggravated, which is a class 2 felony. Sounded all very the same, much the same, but it's not. This court should deny the defendant pretrial release for the following reasons. The defendant is charged with forcible felony or any other felony which involves the threat or infliction of great bodily harm or permanent disability or disfigurement, and the defendant's pretrial release poses a real and present threat to the safety of any persons or the community. The defendant is charged with Article 11, and the defendant's kind of the same thing. Let's see. The defendant is charged with felony offense listed, which based on the charge or the defendant's criminal history, a sentence of imprisonment without probation, periodic imprisonment, or conditional discharge is required by law upon conviction, and the defendant's pretrial release poses a real and present threat. Additional grounds upon which the defendant should be denied pretrial release are as follows. This 30-year-old teacher and coach who has been employed at Downers Grove South High School since 2020 manipulated and sexually abused a vulnerable student by the initials of AC. No condition or combination of conditions, including a GPS monitoring device and home confinement, will prevent this predatory behavior. Home confinement cannot prevent defendant from abusing AC or others, as evidenced by the fact that defendant abused AC inside the secrecy of the very classroom in which she teaches. Moreover, a GPS unit cannot prevent the danger to the community, and specifically to AC, who still attends Downers Grove High School. Against the backdrop, pretrial detention is the only reasonable alternative. Factual basis in support of pretrial detention. Ugh, here we go. What did she do? Yeah. Around 11:05 a.m. on March 15th, 2025, victim AC, date of birth 1/5/2028, and his mother MC went to Downers Grove Police Department to report an sex assault committed by AC's soccer coach and tutor, Christina Formela. At the police department, MC told officers the following. In summary, on March 11th, 2025, AC's cell phone broke, so she purchased a new phone for AC. On March 14th, 2025, she received a new cell phone and signed into the iCloud, at which point text messages started populating. At this time, MC noticed a text thread with the phone number with no name and no photo. So she started reading this thread and noticed the following messages. AC, I love you so much, mama. Unknown number says, I love you, baby. I love you so much, baby. Even though this morning was short, it was perfect. AC says, I know, baby. It was perfect, baby. So perfect. Unknown number says, I love having sex with you. AC says, I know, baby. I love it so much. It feels so good. It's so passionate. It's so intimate. It's so perfect. I'm horrified. When questioned, AC disclosed that this phone number belonged to Christina, his soccer coach. MC was also able to confirm that this phone number belonged to the defendant because she had defendant's phone number saved in her phone after AC had injured himself in soccer, and she had been asking her for an injury update. Then AC disclosed that he and the defendant exchanged phone numbers, began flirtatiously texting with each other, and ended up having sexual intercourse once inside a classroom at Downers Grove South High School sometime in December of 2023. At the time of the assault, AC was 15 years old and the defendant was 28 years old. In the classroom? What? I can't believe this. This is terrible. We're outraged. I was thinking, what kind of teacher wears a Killer Crew hoodie? Then I was like, yeah, this. I can't believe it. During the interview, but I can, right? We covered true crime here all the time. What the heck was she thinking? That's a PDF file. During the interview, officers learned that AC had joined soccer in August of 2022, his freshman year, and that defendant had been his soccer coach. Officers further learned that the defendant had started tutoring AC after he had broken his collarbone. According to MC, the mother, AC did not continue to play soccer after his freshman year, even though he had played since he was 8 years old, and AC's grades have dropped. Later that day, DuPage County Children's Advocacy Center investigator Fensel conducted a forensic interview with AC. During this forensic interview, AC confirmed that the defendant had been his freshman soccer coach, and she started tutoring him after he had broken his collarbone, which was freshman year and again sophomore year. AC said that he and the defendant had begun messaging each other through a school platform that she had given AC her phone number so that they could play the 8-ball pool game on iMessage. What? Not on the school platform. When asked, AC said they started talking about a year and a half ago. AC said that afterwards they had begun exchanging flirtatious text messages with each other. AC said that one time defendant had FaceTimed him while she was in Arizona. According to AC, he and the defendant had developed feelings for each other. AC said that one morning in December of 2023 before school, he had met up with defendant in the classroom. AC said that the defendant had closed her door, which automatically locked, and they had started kissing, that he had grabbed her butt and she grabbed his, etc., over the clothes, and that she had removed his pants and underwear, and that they had removed her leggings, and that they had engaged in intercourse while standing up. AC said that he was wearing protection and that he had subsequently flushed the protection down the toilet so that it was not in the classroom garbage. AC said the defendant had told them that she liked it. According to the AC, he had last spoken with defendant in February of 2024, and they had both acknowledged that it was wrong. According to AC, he and the defendant had intercourse one time only. AC confirmed that it happened when he was 15 years old, and he believed defendant was 26 or 27, but in actuality, she was 28 years old. I can't believe this. Around 2:46 p.m. on March 16, 2025, detectives conducted a traffic stop on defendant and took her into custody and seized her phone. Detectives later searched her phone pursuant to consent and found a memoir in the notes section of her phone. Last updated at 10:45 a.m. on March 16, 2025, which said in relevant part, oh, here we go. Her soon-to-be ex-husband. I'm curious if he stuck around or if he left. Would you? What would you do? I mean, and I just mean that in a general question. I mean, as a parent, how can you trust any adult stranger even to be with your child? Even she's a coach, for crying out right. Even at school, you can't trust people anymore. This is just insane. Sex in the classroom, really? Where's people? Hello? Knock, knock. Anyone there? Like, what? This is why I am so paranoid. Like, not that I'm in high school or anything, but like, you know what I mean? This is insane. Hello, Austin. Okay, let's get started. Here we go. This was in her notes. Oh no. Okay. I, once again, from day effing one, called your next girlfriend AC's girlfriend name. You're so effing predictable and disgusting. Shocker. You cheated on me with her. All I was to you was somebody to F. I'm not upset. I'm not mad. I'm not any of that. I've just lost interest. I went back and screenshotted every single time that I said we should break up until after the wedding and after you graduated. And every single effing time you came back and convinced me it would be fine. I initiated every single breakup, only for you to end things saying and you couldn't get over it. You ruined us. I warned you we should have never started dating a long effing time ago, and you gaslit me and convinced me it was fine every single time because that's who you are. We will never be together again. I'm not second choice. I'm the best thing you'll ever have, even with all of my mistakes. Who is she talking to? What? I'm like shook. We will never be together again. I'm not a second choice. I'm the best thing you'll ever have, even with all of my mistakes. You once again waited and strung me along until it was convenient for you. It broke me last time. This time it changed me. I'm not sad. I'm effing mad that I let a 16-year-old F with me like that. And I made a promise to myself that I will never let any guy F with me like that again. Ever. ... In the end, we both lost. You lost the girl who would have stuck with you through thick and thin and who would have changed anything about herself to make you happy. And I lost the person I was before I met you. Under a section entitled Manifestations, it reads, AC is going to reach out to me soon and try to fix things between us. In the meantime, I'm going to live my best life knowing he's not the person I thought he was and that he is beneath me. She wrote that to a 16-year-old boy. What the hell is wrong with her? No, I'm very much serious. Like, she's mentally not well. She thought the child was cheating on her. Gypsy, we're raging here. Yes. No, this is disgusting. Like, I can't believe a almost 30-year-old woman is talking like this to a 16-year-old boy. What? You're shooketh. What a delusional nutbag chomo, says Lily. Dragonfly, hi, good to see you. No, in the end, I was the one who lost anything, who was me and my brain cells since I'm late. I'm glad you made it. Dragonfly. Sean B, it's extremely disgusting. It's horrifying. Okay, let's continue. In addition, detectives found another note, oh no, November 2024, which says the following in relevant part. AC and I will connect again soon, in a positive way. We will both get the closure we need in order to move on in a healthy way. We will be able to be a part of each other's lives forever. We will be in each other's lives forever. We will be able to love each other while also living our own lives. What the heck? The female you just saw in that 5-minute clip being arrested is the one sending or writing these notes. We shouldn't be able to comprehend because, like, we're normal beings in this world, but like, whatever normal is. But this is crazy. This is a soccer coach. She's a teacher. I read somewhere she was a special ed teacher, like a special education teacher. This is crazy. Like, I can't help but think like paranoid thoughts. You know, like, I have nephews, and then I start thinking like, do I need to like start showing up on campus and being like the crazy aunt? You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. It's gross. Afterwards, detectives interviewed the defendant, who adamantly denied having sex with AC. According to defendant, everybody who comes after her, this is the first time I'm reading this. According to defendant, everybody comes after her because she is good looking and she is just a good person who cared too much about AC. I can't do it. In the same breath, defendant admitted that she knew her relationship was wrong, but she was unable to stop it because she cares about him too much. When confronted with the text messages found on AC's phone, she claimed that one day AC had grabbed her phone unattended, entered her passcode, which he allegedly knew because he had seen her type it in her phone one day, had sent the message to his phone, and then deleted the message from her phone and saved it to his phone as blackmail. According to defendant, she had no idea these text messages even existed. When confronted with notes, defendant described them as, quote unquote, an outlet for her anxiety. And she attributed her anxiety to AC because they had opened up to each other. What? According to defendant, she didn't want to see AC get in trouble like AC's older brother did. Oh. So AC's older brother was involved with a teacher? Or something happened with the teacher? Question mark. Defendant admitted that the entire March 16, 2025 note was about AC, but then pivoted and said that any reference to sex was specifically about her husband. When asked about the statements referencing cheating, defendant blamed AC for cheating on her emotionally by having sex with his girlfriend because she cared about AC and looked out for AC. What? When asked about the statements referencing cheating, the defendant blamed AC for cheating on her emotionally. So he had a girlfriend, a 16-year-old boy, 15-year-old boy. Throughout her interview, defendant tried to paint AC as her stalker and claimed that her husband was aware, but oddly enough, her husband told detectives that he knew nothing about AC beyond his status as a soccer player, and he confirmed that he does not go through the defendant's phone. Despite her accusations against AC, defendant admitted that she never reported anything to the administration or to AC's mother. Even more puzzling, detectives located on defendant's phone screenshots of AC's Instagram containing topless photos and text messages to other people where defendant spontaneously brought up AC in conversation. And even though AC had created a new Snapchat user name as recently as March 14, 2025, defendant was already aware of it, purportedly so that she knows which friend request not to accept. Criminal history of the defendant, none known. According to the reasons stated above, based upon the proffer the people's request to make during the hearing on petition pursuant to, etc., the people pray that this honorable court deny the defendant pretrial release. I thought she was out on bond, but maybe I'm confusing her with another PDF file that we talked about. The undersigned hereby certifies that, yeah, it's all true. People of the state of Illinois. There you have it. Christina from, hey, Sam Unstoppable. Good to see you. Sounds like she got stuck in a maze and will take any way she cannot. I think that's what Jeffrey Dahmer said, LOL, but not funny. Like, people try to claim insanity in a child. I'm just like, those notes blew me away. Like, she's a 30-year-old female and she's talking to a 16-year-old boy. Like, what do you have in common with that boy? Like, you have to think psychologically, like, what happened to her? What is going on with her? What is wrong with her brain? Why are you being attracted to someone that much below you in age, younger than you? Like, how is that, like, hot? You know what I mean? Like, yuck. Such a messed up case. How are you going to say everybody wants you, but then you choose a kid? Like, I don't even think brains are fully developed. Is it like 25? No offense, anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. You can't even trust the dang soccer coach anymore. You know, good thing like I don't have kids, because oh my gosh, I'd probably be getting bailed out all the time from jail, because you know, like I would be putting in like cameras and everything and be like going on the field and trying to be like, excuse me, you know, it would be very much that if I had kids. But anyways, let's go on to another person. That she's just a teacher from Illinois. Now this is, you know, an NFL Hall of Famer, Club Shay Shay. Shannon Sharpe. I've not read this, and I'm shooketh already. Sounds to me like Mr. Let Go is all right along. Women that like that are children. Oh, there's so many things to say. They're not very nice. This one was filed on 4/20/2025. Jane Doe against Shannon Sharpe, and Busby is the attorney. We all know, we're very familiar, Busby, Jay-Z, and then that case just recently that got dropped, and then the Diddy. I lost track of the Diddy case long ago. I would definitely want to cover that if it was a public trial, but like I can't keep up. It's too much for me. It was stressing me out. But Busby is involved in this lawsuit, representing Jane Doe. Original complaint and jury demand. I heard this is kind of wild, so let's get started. Right, the story is crazy. I was overly protective when my son was little. Yeah. Tipsy knows I'll be out there on the field like, excuse me, what did you just say, ma'am? Why are you looking at him? That's coming up on May 5th. Wait, what? That's like next week. That's crazy. And we have Karen Reed. Oh my God, I can't keep up. And we have Karen Reed. We're going to have Diddy. And then we have Brian Kober later this year. I'm shook. So much true crime. Okay, let's get started. Introduction. A woman can say yes to consensual sexual relationships with a man 99 times. But when she says no even once, that no means no. Defendant Shannon Sharpe, a man who is accustomed to getting what he wants, completely fails to understand this basic concept. After many months of manipulating and controlling plaintiff, a woman more than 30 years younger than he, and repeatedly threatening to brutally choke and violently slap her, Sharpe refused to accept the answer no, and raped plaintiff, despite her sobbing and repeated screams of no. That's very intense intro. Like, I thought I was reading a Frida book. Defendant Shannon Sharpe is 56-year-old former NFL superstar. He claims to be one of the most successful sports media personalities in the country. Plaintiff is a young woman in her early 20s. In 2023, plaintiff was working out at a gym in Los Angeles, California, when Sharpe approached her for the first time. Previously, Doe had noticed Sharpe watching her during her workouts. At this time, Doe was just 19 years old. At the time, she did not know who he was, only that he was another older man oogling her at the gym. Doe could tell Sharpe was much older than her. She found him physically intimidating. Eventually, he introduced himself. At this determined instant, she gave him her number. Over the next couple of weeks, Sharpe incessantly pursued plaintiff. He constantly approached her at the gym and attempted to contact her frequently with phone calls and text messages asking to meet up, unwillingly to take no for an answer. Eventually, plaintiff gave in and agreed to meet with Sharpe outside of the gym. However, before doing so, Sharpe demanded that Doe sign a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, something plaintiff found a bit concerning. She wondered why Sharpe was so insistent on her signing an NDA. She refused. Despite his repeated efforts to get her to sign, she refused time and time again. And eventually, he dropped the issue and invited her to his house. It's like double negative with people with money can say they're doing it because they have money. So do we believe this or no? Because Busby did just represent someone that had a whole case against, or accusations against Jay-Z, and that got dropped. I mean, there could be a lot of things true. Maybe it is true, and she got, for some reason, I don't know. Do we believe that these accusations against Shannon Sharpe? Do you believe them? What followed was the beginning of a rocky consensual relationship that lasted nearly 2 years. The relationship was very unequal. Sharpe is more than 30 years old and is considerably wealthier, physically much larger, and exponentially stronger. Sharpe is famous and has power. Plaintiff and Sharpe saw each other on his terms and on his schedule as often as 4 times a week. Over time, plaintiff began to see Sharpe's true nature. She found him to be dishonest about his whereabouts. He would lie about seeing other women while insisting to her that she and he were exclusive. He often manipulated her, at times being sweet and loving to get what he wanted, and at other times being angry and aggressive to achieve his goals. She discovered over time that Sharpe was extremely emotional and possessed an uncontrollable temper. He displayed the characteristics of a true narcissist. He wielded his power, his influence, and his celebrity to control the plaintiff and get exactly what he wanted, whenever he wanted it, all the while jealously guarding what he considered this to be for himself. By October 2024, Sharpe's behavior had grown progressively worse, beyond anything plaintiff had experienced with him before. At this point, he was insistent upon recording their sexual activities, sometimes without her knowledge. Sharpe was also sharing the videos with others without her permission or knowledge. Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted her to do things that would quote unquote make no other man want her. By this point, Sharpe was no longer able to credibly maintain the relationship exclusive. He had at this point accidentally or purposely, to advance his career, went live on Instagram while having intercourse with another woman. Sharpe flew into fits of anger when plaintiff noted his infidelity to their relationship or called him out about his extraneous activities. What had once been manipulation, control, and intimidation now became something far more dangerous and sinister. Sharpe even figured out how to get into Doe's apartment complex without her permission. Sharpe made it clear that what Doe wanted was of no moment, that Sharpe would get what he wanted when he wanted it. In October of 2024, Shannon Sharpe violently assaulted and raped plaintiff 2 different times in Las Vegas, Nevada, blatantly ignoring her request for him to stop. He did it again in January. Can you guys read the document? Because I don't want to see. He raped her from the front and from the back. Plaintiff left Nevada to temporarily escape defendant Shannon Sharpe. She now seeks justice through this action and other means. Plaintiff seeks compensatory and punitive damages in this matter in excess of $50 million. Jane Doe residing in Clark County, Nevada. Defendant Shannon Sharpe resides also in Clark County, Nevada. He may be served at his residence of 2760 Tioga Pine Circle. Wow. I didn't know he lived there. Knowing as much as I do about the case, to me it was a shakedown, really. Well, we're going to watch a clip after I read this document on Law and Crime, and it basically goes over like the most recent stuff because this was just, released. This is different from like what is in the video, but it very much explains like what's going on right now with like them releasing the audio and all of that. So I'm going to watch that clip right after this. But regardless, I mean, these accusations are pretty brutal. But it happens. We see it with celebrities, but then we see it actually be true. Like, did you guys hear about Virginia Giuffre? Apologies if that's not how you say her name. I feel horrible, but she died by suicide today. She was the one who was involved with the Epstein stuff. She was a victim. Why am I talking about that? I don't know. I'm just relating it. Like, I believe that was absolutely true. And that was Epstein and like Prince Andrew. You know what I mean? I believe that story. I really do. We're going to talk about that case here soon. I need to get caught up. I can't read. Not going to lie, every time I hear the word grape on here, it's because of YouTube. Yeah, I know. Don't believe she offed herself. I don't believe it either. I really don't. I'm glad you think that. Yeah, I don't. I think that I don't believe that. Unspoken words remain unheard. Exactly. All right. Factual allegations related to all claims. Defendant Shannon Sharpe is former NFL superstar and well-known sports media personality. After a 14-season career in the NFL, he is considered by some to be one of the greatest tight ends of all times. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion and was recently inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Here's pictures of him. $50 million. That's a lot of money. And there's in the clip that we're going to watch, they talk about how they were into like some freaky stuff. Hey, no judgment here. I ain't judging nobody. But, when we talk about it, like in these cases, do what you want, really. When we talk about these cases, like going in court, in trial, it's like those things come into play and they matter, right? Those quote unquote convince a jury or will factor into what a jury decides, right? And then hearing like the BDSM stuff and it definitely plays a role. So I think his persona is tainted just by the complaints, whether they're true or not. Kind of sucks. He also has a very show on YouTube. Yes, Club Shay Shay. Yeah, where he interviewed Cat Williams. Everyone's like, Cat, try to warn you. I like what Cat Williams said in that interview. If anyone did that to me, there's no amount of money that would make up for someone being charged with a crime, right? Upon retirement, Sharpe transitioned into sports broadcasting, quickly achieving success in the industry. Sharpe spent several years at CBS Sports before moving to Fox, where over a decade he built a reputation for his strong opinions and hot takes. In 2023, Sharpe joined ESPN, where he remains employed today. Well, that was when the document dropped, but as of now, I believe he resigned, if I'm not mistaken. And that should speak volumes. And also the fact that he allegedly offered her money before she went public. And that also speaks volumes, I think. Like 10 mil to stay quiet. Well, what are you hiding? Because it's not a couple $100,000. It's $10 million. That's a shite ton of money. In addition to working at ESPN's First Take, Sharpe hosts his own widely followed podcast, interviewing high-profile athletes, entertainers, and public figures. Sharpe claims he made as much as $6 million from one episode on his podcast, and is alleged to be signing a multi-million-dollar deal with the Volume Media Group. What? $6 million from one episode? I'm gonna have to step it up here, y'all. Sharpe's legacy extends beyond the field and media, and in one glaring area, it is not good. Sharpe has a documented history of abusing and mistreating women. As an example, he is currently a defendant in a lawsuit before the Supreme Court of New York, facing claims from a woman of intentional infliction of emotional distress, amongst other allegations. Many of the factual allegations in the New York case are eerily similar to his actions toward plaintiff here. I didn't know that. According to New York lawsuit, Sharpe forcefully subdued the plaintiff in that case, forcing her to her knees and subjecting her to non-consensual oral sex despite her repeated protest. When she resisted, he persisted. He would not take no for an answer. According to the New York lawsuit, the plaintiff therein feared for her safety, just as plaintiff fears for her safety now. The New York lawsuit further alleges that Sharpe escalated to non-consensual penetration while telling her that he would make it so no other man would want her. These words were apparently not a one-time thing. Plaintiff herein too has heard Sharpe say those exact words to her. In September of 2024, Sharpe live-streamed himself on accident having sex with a woman. Upon information and belief, he did so on purpose to seek media exposure and to attract social media views and attention. To live stream himself, he would have had to deliberately swipe right on Instagram to activate the live feed. Sharpe claims it was accidental, however, discreetly recording sex without his partner's knowledge is something he is known to do. He did so with the plaintiff herein. I also didn't know that. Plaintiff discovered that Sharpe had been secretly recording their encounters without her consent. When she confronted him, he summarily dismissed her concerns, claiming the videos were for his own personal use. That, too, was a lie. Upon information and belief, Sharpe on multiple occasions shared the recordings with his friends and associates. At one point, he even forced plaintiff to have sex with him while FaceTiming one of his childhood friends named Bucket. Whenever plaintiff would get up the courage to object to Sharpe's outrageous conduct, which was not often, he would aggressively and angrily put her back in her place. Shannon Sharpe isn't just a sports icon. He's something far worse. He is a flawed, narcissistic individual who has spent years using his fame, power, and influence to manipulate, control, subjugate, and violate women. With the suit, plaintiff intends to put an end to this egregious conduct. January 2023, the beginning of a consensual but deeply manipulative relationship. Sharpe first met plaintiff at Los Angeles gym in early 2023. Sharpe would deliberately watch Joe in such a way to make sure she knew he was watching her. One day, as plaintiff finished a set and turned around, she found Sharpe standing inches behind her. Sharpe told her that he noticed her at the gym and wondered why she had not introduced herself. This was the first time they spoke. Plaintiff at the time, who had just turned 21 years old, was caught off guard and was face to face with the 54-year-old man she had never met. Plaintiff did not know at the time who Shannon Sharpe was. She did not know what to say nor how to feel about his advances. During the first conversation, Sharpe proposed a challenge, a competition to see who could lean out faster. The prize, if plaintiff won, he would buy her fake tits. Plaintiff was stunned. The implication that she needed or wanted such a thing was widely inappropriate. Hearing it from a stranger more than 30 years her senior made it even more disturbing. Through their subsequent encounters at the gym, Sharpe made sure Plaintiff understood who he was, a celebrity and TV personality. Over the following weeks, Sharpe made himself unavoidable. He was at the gym when she was. He constantly called and texted, demanding she come to his Beverly Glen mansion. Plaintiff repeatedly declined and made up excuses to make her seem too busy to see him, but he would not stop. Sharpe would not be deterred. Eventually, Plaintiff gave in, but before she could meet him outside of the gym, Sharpe made another demand. She had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. He refused to explain why and would not let her see a copy of the proposed agreement. He simply insisted she sign one. Plaintiff refused. After multiple attempts, when he realized she would not cooperate, he finally dropped the issue. Revealed from the start the violent, aggressive, and controlling nature of Shannon Sharpe. The first night Plaintiff went to Sharpe's house, the experience was unlike anything she has dealt with before, disturbing, unsettling, and given his subsequent conduct, very illuminating. When Plaintiff arrived at his house, Sharpe opened the door to his Beverly Glen mansion without a word. No greeting, no acknowledgement, no small talk. Without so much as looking at Plaintiff, he simply turned away from her, opening the door, and walked upstairs. Plaintiff hesitated, but followed as she did not know what else to do or where else to go. When they reached the bedroom, Sharpe pointed to the bed before disappearing into the bathroom and shutting the door behind him. He still had not said a word. Plaintiff had sat on the bed waiting, unsure of what to expect or if she should leave. Roughly 5 minutes later, he finally emerged, but still, he said nothing. Instead, he turned off all the lights and lay down on his bed. Plaintiff, uncomfortable and unsure of what to do, lay down as well. For roughly 10 minutes, there was nothing but silence. Then, without warning, Sharpe placed his hands on Plaintiff's neck from behind, pressed his erect pee against her body, and said his first words of the night. I knew from the first time I saw you that I was going to F you. Doe and Sharpe then engaged in oral sex. As they did so, Doe at some point realized Sharpe was using his phone, and he was apparently recording her. Plaintiff could see that he was trying to be discreet, but it was obvious what he was doing. She said nothing, scared to confront him for what he might do or say. When it ended, he rolled over and went to sleep. At some point later during the night, Sharpe woke up, grabbed Plaintiff and began having sex with her. The next morning, Sharpe woke at roughly 4 a.m. to shoot a media segment for sports television. He woke Plaintiff as well and told her she needed to leave, but he informed her that she had to be back by 9 p.m. exactly. The following night, Plaintiff arrived at Sharpe's house approximately 9:05 p.m., just 5 minutes past the time he demanded. The moment he opened the door, Plaintiff experienced his rage for the first time. Sharpe immediately launched into a verbal assault. He screamed at Plaintiff, berating her for what felt like hours. He accused her of disrespecting him, wasting his time, and warned that if she wanted to be with the Shannon Sharpe, she would have to learn obedience. Plaintiff was terrified and feared for her physical safety. Still enraged, Sharpe turned off the lights, grabbed her neck, and just like the night before, began having intercourse with her. This cycle of control, fear, and submission became routine, yelling at her, controlling her, forcefully grabbing her by the neck when he got upset, saying he's going to unalive her, and asserting dominance became the norm. Over the next year and a half, Plaintiff saw Shannon Sharpe at his house as often as 4 times a week. Sharpe continued to treat her like an object. He continued to control her, not just physically, but emotional and psychologically. He demanded complete control over her time and body, expecting her to be at his house on his schedule, at his command whenever he called. The verbal abuse never stopped. He would berate and degrade Plaintiff, just as he had from the beginning. One time specifically, he was yelling at her while there was a firearm visible in his room. Terrified for her safety, Plaintiff tried sharing her locations with her friends from her phone, just in case, but Sharpe saw her doing this. The moment he realized what she was doing, he grabbed her by the neck and told her, quote unquote, if you ever do that again, I will effing kill you. Summer of 2024, Sharpe's control turns abusive. The relationship becomes fearful and non-consensual. Sharpe's aggression and rage continued to escalate to the point that Plaintiff's friends began to feel fear for her safety. For example, when Plaintiff was with her friends, they could hear Sharpe yelling at her over the phone and would ask her if she was safe and if she was okay. In the summer of 2024, Plaintiff and Sharpe Each moved to Las Vegas for their own reasons. Sharpe liked to say that the plaintiff followed him to Vegas, but that too is a lie. Once in Vegas, Sharpe insisted again that plaintiff sign an NDA. She refused, and again he persisted, but after enough resistance, he let her go and continued seeing her multiple times a week. His behavior did not change. He remained erratic, controlling, and verbally abusive, all while telling the plaintiff he was committed to a sexually exclusive relationship with her. Why keep coming over? If you're so scared there was something, she must have kept her cycling back time after time. Then in September of 2024, Sharpe humiliated the plaintiff. He live streamed himself having sex with another woman on Instagram for over 1.1 million followers to see. He later made jest of the incident on his podcast Club Shay Shay and show Nightcap. But for plaintiff, it was anything but funny. He had repeatedly assured her that they were in an exclusive relationship. This was a lie and not only hurt her emotionally, it made her fear for her sexual health and the risk of sexually transmitted disease. At that point, plaintiff began to pull away from Sharpe. She stopped answering his phone calls and stopped telling him where she was when he would demand to know. I did not know about that live stream or anything about that. I'm shook. Plaintiff's feeble attempts at freedom and independence further upset Sharpe. He began flooding her with phone calls demanding to know where she was. He called relentlessly multiple times per hour. The harassment became so unbearable, plaintiff frequently began leaving Nevada, determined to cut off communication, resist his efforts to control her, and attempt to reclaim some control of her life. It took courage for plaintiff to make his effort. She remained terrified even though she was thousands of miles away. Sharpe simply would not accept independence or freedom for plaintiff. And in October of 2024, just after plaintiff returned from Europe, Sharpe's behavior became more angry, aggressive, and now violent. October 6, 2024, Sharpe assaults and rapes the plaintiff and threatens, "I'm going to make it so no man will want you again." You remember it, Debbie? That's wild. I don't remember it. On October 6, 2024, plaintiff was working out at a Nevada gym following her usual routine. As she worked out, she saw Sharpe aggressively approaching her. She could tell by this look and the way he moved towards her that he was furious for having been ignored. As soon as he got close to her, he told her to sit the F down or I'm going to unalive you. Plaintiff refused. "I don't want to talk to you. You cheated on me." His response was dismissive and controlling as usual. "You don't have a choice." Sharpe demanded that they talk in private. Again, plaintiff told him no. She made it clear she did not want to talk to him, to be alone with him, or want him coming to her home, but Sharpe didn't care. He never took no for an answer. Sharpe forced the plaintiff under threat to get into his car and go to her house. Once Sharpe was inside her apartment, plaintiff tried to keep the conversation in the living room, but Sharpe refused. He demanded that they go to the bedroom. She said no. He didn't listen, nor did he care. Once inside the bedroom, Sharpe grabbed her from behind and forcefully positioned her to perform oral sex. He told her in place and then forced her to begin performing. He became even angry and said, "You disrespected me so much. I'm going to punish this," redacted, "I'm going to make it so no man will ever want you again." Plaintiff at this point was crying and sobbing. Tears streamed down her face as Sharpe repositioned her and took her from behind. As he forcefully raped her, he said, "Turn around and look at me." Sharpe grabbed her, forcing her to look at him. She sobbed. He said at this point, "Look at this. Look at my arm. I've got chills. That's how good it is." Shannon Sharpe forced himself on the plaintiff despite her sobbing in agony as it happened. He told her in the moment as she was crying that the experience was so good it was giving him chills. Sharpe's behavior demonstrates that he believed plaintiff to be his personal property, possessed and owned by him. He also believed that the laws did not apply to him, that he could take what he wanted and that no one would or could stop him. He was and is wrong. What? It was all social media. January 2025, Sharpe assaults and rapes the plaintiff, ignoring her screams and refusing to wear protection. Like a few months ago. On January 2nd, 2025, Sharpe told plaintiff he wanted to see her. Sharpe persisted and reminded plaintiff that he had a combined Christmas and birthday gift to give her, as he previously promised her a gift. She ultimately allowed him to come over to her apartment. She regrets that decision. Once inside her apartment, Sharpe began undressing. Plaintiff firmly stated multiple times that they would not have sex without protection, demanding that he wear a condom. She knew that in the past he had refused to ever use them and believed that her demand would stop him from having sex with her, but although he refused, he still insisted on intercourse. She tried to resist him. She screamed. She had already expressed concerns for her safety, knowing that he had been involved with other women, increasing the risk of transmitting a disease. The more she begged, Shannon Sharpe became more aggressive and made it clear he would not, and he was going to have his way with her. Shannon grabbed her, pulling her around and positioning her to perform, which lasted roughly 2 minutes. Then Sharpe repositioned her and roughly forced himself on her. Plaintiff never stopped demanding and begging that he stop. Sharpe ignored her. As soon as he attacked her, plaintiff screamed and sobbed. Her cries for help did nothing to stop Sharpe. This is brutal. The assault lasted roughly 10 minutes, ending only when Sharpe redacted inside her. Plaintiff cried and begged repeatedly for him to stop. Plaintiff left Nevada after the assault. Plaintiff brings these cause of action in the honorable court to recover damages as outlined before. It is imperative that Shannon Sharpe and those like him are held accountable for their actions to prevent them from engaging in a future and further assault and sodomy and harming future victims. First claim for relief: assault, battery. Sharpe willfully and lawfully used threats and physical force on plaintiff. Defendant Sharpe intended to cause harmful or offensive contact. The threats were intended to control plaintiff. The threats as well to the harmful and offensive contact by defendant Sharpe. Sharpe's conduct approximately caused injury to plaintiff. Defendant's damages approximately caused by defendant's conduct in amount to be determined at trial. Second claim for relief is infliction of emotional distress. Sharpe engaged in conduct that is extreme and outrageous so as to exceed the bounds of decency in a civilized society. Namely, he caused plaintiff to experience mental suffering by causing her to worry about her safety and well-being. He engaged in conduct intentionally, knowingly, and willfully. Prayer for relief: general damages in the sum of $10 million, special damages $10 million, punitive damages $20 million, statutory penalties $10 million, attorney's fees and cost of litigation, interest the statutory rate, such other and further relief, April 20th, 2025. That's brutal. Okay, we're going to play the clip. So that was the actual complaint. Now I'm going to play this clip by Law and Crime that actually talks a lot about the most recent stuff that isn't covered. Sorry, let me pull it up. I'm sure you can hear it, but I haven't pulled it all the way up. Hey, Witch. Glad you made it. We're just watching a clip really quick. We read the Shannon Sharpe and Christina Formela document, and now we're just going to watch this clip really quick, and then we'll end this live and move on to Karen Reed live.
Sharpe, and the woman who's accusing him of sexually assaulting and raping her as recently as January.
It was actually really good.
We covered this earlier in the week.
Law and Crime segment.
Not only has Shannon Sharpe fired back in a major way, releasing a public message, a response, apparently revealing the identity of this Jane Doe, but he's also published never-before-seen apparent text messages between the two. Quite a response, to say the least. And then what happens? You think the story ends there? No. She fires back by releasing an apparent audio tape between her and Shannon Sharpe. This has crossed to a whole different kind of level, and I want to get into what we're seeing right now. We're going to break it down, but first, let's take a step back. Let's learn a little bit more about the backstory, what's happening here. So we have 56-year-old Shannon Sharpe, who has been sued by an unidentified woman. She's going by the pseudonym Jane Doe, and she is suing him for $50 million in Nevada court. She claims that after meeting Shannon Sharpe at the gym back in 2023 and beginning a consensual relationship with him, who, by the way, she claims is 30 years older than her, it escalated into him allegedly insisting they record their sexual activity, sometimes without her knowledge, him sharing those videos with others, him allegedly telling her that he would do things to her that, quote, would make no other man want her, that he allegedly manipulated her, controlled her, threatened her, intimidated her, was able to gain access to her apartment complex without her permission. For example, this is from the lawsuit. It reads, "The verbal abuse never stopped. He would berate and degrade plaintiff, just as he had from the beginning. One time specifically, he was yelling at her while there was a firearm visible in his room. Terrified for her safety, plaintiff tried sharing her location with friends from her iPhone just in case. But Sharpe saw her doing this. The moment he realized what she was doing, he grabbed her by the neck and told her, 'If you ever do that again, I will bleeping kill you.'" And then this finally all allegedly culminated with Jane Doe claiming that in October of 2024, Sharpe violently sexually assaulted and raped her in Las Vegas, all while she was allegedly sobbing. And she claims he did this again recently in January of 2025, her allegedly begging him to stop as this was purportedly going on. So she has sued him for assault, sexual battery, sexual battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress. She's being represented by Texas attorney Tony Busby, who we know famously represented a Jane Doe in a now defunct sexual assault lawsuit against Jay-Z. He represents several accusers and actions against Sean Diddy Combs as well. But as I mentioned, Shannon Sharpe has responded. This is what we want to get into. And let me tell you, did he respond? A lot of money at stake in this case, right? And talking money, actually, how about getting money back? Let me tell you about Upside. Upside is fantastic.
We're going to fast forward to that part. Oh, and he made a comment about it on Instagram too. I didn't know
himself because this isn't right. And he says that this whole thing is being orchestrated by Tony Busby.
Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit,
can you see that okay?
Put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I wouldn't myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media.
And he goes on to say that the encounter in question took place during the day at the invitation of Jane Doe, says that this was all a deliberate setup by her. He also, by the way, revealed her first name and apparently her name that she purportedly uses on OnlyFans. We're not going to reveal those names here. We're not going to do that. But he does go on to say,
it's
all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about, and I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. And we also got a statement from his attorney, Lonnie J. Davis, and that reads, Mr. Sharpe categorically denies all allegations of coercion or misconduct, especially the gross lie of rape, and will not submit to what he sees as an egregious attempt at blackmail. He stands firmly by the truth and is prepared to fight these false claims vigorously in court. And Davis has also commented about that apparent tape that was seemingly referenced by Sharpe, because he accuses Jane Doe of providing a, quote, secretly recorded and heavily edited video to them that purports to be a non-consensual encounter of some kind. But Davis claimed that Jane Doe, quote, has refused to provide a copy of the full unedited version of the recording to Mr. Sharpe's legal team. And then there's this.
Wow.
Sharpe and his legal team released all of these apparent text messages between him and this Jane Doe, reportedly 44 pages worth of communications. For example, as reported by TMZ, there's one apparent message from October 2023 where Jane Doe seemingly messages Sharpe, I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're bleeping me. Now, the New York Post reporting on other messages allegedly from Jane Doe, like tie me up and do bad things to me. I know you missed this big juicy bleep, $25K for each cheek. Tie me up like this and bleep me, with Sharpe replying,
what?
If I knew how to, I would. She then allegedly wrote back, it's okay, I have handcuffs. We can stick to those for now. Jane Doe also allegedly writing, I want like some hardcore BDSM action though, and feeling kind of freaky lately. And then you have this apparent message from March 14th, 2024. I want to be abused, daddy. And then another message from last year where she apparently wrote him, I've always wanted a black baby. Now, Lonnie Davis commented that, quote, the evidence paints a clear picture. This was a consensual adult relationship that included role-playing, sexual language, and fantasy scenarios. So what happens then? Again, this is not the end of the story. Jane Doe ends up releasing an audio tape seemingly between her and Sharpe. And I'm going to explain part of what is heard on this tape. We can't play it for legal reasons, but here is part of the exchange, and this part is key. Again, this is from the audio tape. Jane Doe says, don't manipulate me. Sharpe replies, if you say that word one more time, I'm going to choke the bleep out of you next time I see you. Jane Doe pauses, takes a minute, and says, well, I don't want to be choked. And Sharpe replies, yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter. Now, to be clear, this tape may only be a portion.
If they were involved in freaky BDSM stuff, like, I wonder how that would play out in court.
Of the entire conversation and audio.
Wow.
But this
I know,
appears to
we're
be a
like,
portion
what?
nonetheless.
What
Jane Doe's attorney, again, Tony Busby, described this audio as, quote, the contents of this clip are certainly not sexual. They are not playful. They are instead disturbing, aggressive, and dangerous. This audio paints a very clear picture of how Sharpe treated Jane Doe, leading her to escape from him by leaving Nevada and blocking all contact with him. And he added that they released this audio in response to Sharpe's lawyer, Lonnie Davis, trying to discredit Jane Doe by releasing all of these alleged texts, which, by the way, Busby says are basically irrelevant.
I can't
because
believe
they're
Busby's
all
involved.
before the alleged assault. Okay, so now I want to bring on Mauricio Padilla, litigator, criminal defense attorney, to talk more about this. Mauricio, thanks so much for taking the time. Let's just start with the lawsuit and the allegation, suing for $50 million. Very graphic details about these multiple
We're gonna have
alleged
some
sexual assaults and rapes. Your take just on the initial lawsuit and allegations.
What's going on in the world?
I mean, my take on the initial lawsuit and allegations and the publicity that's come right after it. I mean, there's rules of ethics to prohibit people from trying their case in the media. And I think from the onset, both sides are engaging in releasing what could be evidence. And the rules of ethics from state to state vary, but they pretty much usually are concentrated on not releasing any information that could possibly affect a jury. And they're out there releasing pages and pages of text messages. They're out there releasing audio. It looks to me like both sides are engaged in trying to litigate this in the media before litigating it in a court of law.
But isn't that the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively effect, right? Isn't that what we're seeing now? It's the idea of let's battle this out on the court of public opinion, particularly, by the way, when you're dealing with such a public figure like Shannon Sharpe. The idea of if I'm fighting this in a court of law, but I'm also fighting this in the court of public opinion, if I can put enough out there to try to reverse the narrative, maybe not only I'll still retain
Not a
fan
fan of
base, my
Shannon
career,
Sharpe.
but also it puts pressure on Jane Doe maybe to stop the lawsuit, or maybe not, because she fired back too.
Wait. Wasn't the Cassie lawsuit 50 mil or was that 30 mil? What was that amount? Wasn't it pretty much up there? Keep in mind, he was about to sign. Yeah, 50 mil is quite the lawsuit. Especially if they were into like BDSM stuff. It's going to be hard, I think, in a court.
They shouldn't do it because unfortunately we live in a time where if you don't do that on behalf of your client, are you doing them a disservice?
Depending on, I guess.
I'm just mentioning the fact that none of this is really allowed pursuant to the rules of ethics. But I understand why they're doing it because nowadays, pretty much the court of public opinion is dictating what happens in court in and of itself. Right. So it's just part of litigating cases nowadays.
Are you concerned by the content, the value of those text message conversations? Does it complicate this case? Let me rephrase. Putting aside, assuming these really are the real conversations and the real messages of Jane Doe, you could say, I mean, she's talking about BDSM.
I think it was pretty much up there.
Dog collars, choking, and then she accuses him of sexual assault and being violent with her. Let me actually read you something from the lawsuit. Okay, so this is from the
Which
lawsuit.
we just read.
A woman can say yes to consensual sexual relations with a man 99 times, but when she says no, even once, that no means no. Defendant Shannon Sharpe, a man who is accustomed to getting what he wants, completely fails to understand this basic concept. After many months of manipulating and controlling plaintiff, a woman more than 30 years younger than he, and repeatedly threatening to brutally choke and violently slap her, Sharpe refused to accept the answer no and raped plaintiff despite her sobbing and repeated screams of no. So you look at those messages, are they irrelevant?
If you establish a pattern of, S&M, a pattern of voluntarily submitting yourself to someone, to accepting, violence, to accepting as part of the norm of your sex life, then obviously that's something that could be used, because he's going to say, yeah, it was consensual. So when a jury's trying to analyze whether or not these acts of violence were consensual or not, they can obviously look to the history of the relationship and whether or not she's going to admit it. So now you put her on the stand and you're like, so you allowed him to choke you. You allowed him to hit you previously. And that was something that you guys engaged in, voluntary sexual behavior, and you found it pleasurable. And you did it for the X amount of months. But then on this particular day, you told him no. So it's something that it's fruitful to bring up a trial. I think they would be doing them a disservice if they didn't explore that more. And ultimately, what Mr. Busby is saying is true. A woman can say yes 99 times and say no that 100th time, but the historical behavior of accepting violence as the norm in your bedroom and in your sex life is something that a jury can look at to determine whether or not she did in fact say no, because he's going to say that she said yes. He's not going to admit that she said no, that he raped her.
No, I hear you. And I knew that he was going to get on the defensive. I mean, if you're
very
if you
much
believe
true, Lily.
his side,
Yeah, that
right,
scares a
he's
little
completely
harsh.
innocent, you get hit with this lawsuit, right? You want to defend yourself.
That's what it is, I guess.
He goes out, he puts out this message on Instagram. Do you think he was advised by his lawyer to do so? Let's start there. And B, purportedly,
I do think people with money and power, makes people evil sometimes. So especially celebrities.
Outing her.
Not that I'm
naming her
saying he's
name.
guilty.
Just the first name,
Yeah.
and also what her apparent handle is, her name on OnlyFans.
Menendez brothers, Diddy.
Right? I mean, again, he's defending himself, but she filed this anonymous.
How many times Jay-Z?
Right. Well, whether or not his attorney advised him to do it, if he took those steps without discussing it with his attorney should be very upset at him doing something of that nature.
Kanye.
I don't think that an attorney can counsel their client to disclose the identity of a victim in a sex case. So I don't think that his attorney would ever admit to taking those steps, simply because there's laws to protect victims in sex crimes. But I understand why it's beneficial to his defense. I'm putting it out there. I'm saying who you are. I'm saying that you're an OnlyFans person. I'm saying that we were engaged in this voluntary sexual behavior.
Wait.
Possibly accepted money to do sexual things.
I don't know. This guest on here is kind of like, what? So just because you're on OF doesn't mean you deserve to be treated that way, abused or assaulted or etc.
On camera or do sexual things for me. So it definitely benefits his defense in letting people know, listen, this is not the person that Busby's saying that it is.
Exactly
this is the person that I'm telling you who she is. So I think it's beneficial.
No means
and
I agree with you.
I said this when I covered it earlier in the week. This lawsuit being filed by Tony Busby, he's got crosshairs on him right now. He filed a lawsuit against Jay-Z by a Jane Doe who claims that she was sexually assaulted by Jay-Z when she was 13 years old back in 2000. That lawsuit against him was dropped. The NBC did a report questioning the credibility of some of her claims. His attorneys came forward and said, no, we have proof that the people you say were there weren't there. And that lawsuit was dropped. He's now being sued. That Jane Doe is being sued. You would think, okay, if this happened, I'm going to maybe take a little step back here. But to go so public and forward with allegations against a high-profile figure like Shannon Sharpe, he must not only believe the account of Jane Doe, he must believe he's got the goods to back it up.
Definitely. And listen, when you're an attorney, you have wiggle room in the sense that if you have a client that's telling you,
it's like, just give me all the cases.
Their version, you have to act reasonably, and you can't just believe someone that you may have knowledge that she suffers from psychiatric conditions, but you have a lot of leeway. Like, you have a client that's telling you, you're allowed to believe your client and you're allowed to litigate on their behalf. And obviously, there's rules in place for a lawyer not to pipe or a complete myth and sue people without a basis. But when you do have a client that's telling you what occurred, I think he has a lot of leeway in the way that he acts, simply because he has a client that's telling him, and he's allowed to believe that client. Now, there's limits, and apparently, regarding the Jay-Z, fronted with evidence that he couldn't refute regarding the lack of liability, then he dropped the lawsuit. If he's defending his own lawsuit, that's separate from this one. So I don't see why a guy like Busby would change his MO, so to speak, and retreat, because at the end of the day, he's making money. He's making money. He's trying to make money, and he's got insurance to defend him of lawsuits. So I don't see why he would change.
Now I want to move on to the audio tape. This audio tape that was apparently released by Jane Doe's side. Now, again, this might only be a portion of the conversation, but it is a portion of this conversation, and it's important. You'll have Tony Busby saying this is nothing fun about this. There's nothing sexual about this. This is disturbing. This is him threatening to choke her and saying she's not going to have a choice. Whereas I imagine you're going to hear Shannon Sharpe say there's more to context to the conversation. Look at what our relationship was like. But this was another move in this chess game, releasing this audio tape. What's your take on it?
Well, listen, an audio tape like that is damning, just because if you're a man and you're talking like that to a woman, even if your defense is, you have to look at the totality of the circumstances. You have to look at the relationship that we had where she was voluntarily submissive to me. And then I was, in a position where we would obtain sexual pleasure from me being a dominant figure. That has to be his defense. But a lot of people would reject that right off the bat. Like, that's something that a lot of people are not going to stomach, are not going to understand. And he definitely has his work cut out in trying to explain to the viewing public why that type of language to a woman is appropriate. It has to be, his defense has to be that you're only looking at a small piece, but if you look at the entire relationship, that's how we would do it, and that's because she was submissive to me. People are going to reject that.
Now, I will tell you this. As this came out, I said to myself, how did they release those messages so quickly? They must have had it ready, right? You can't just have those messages. And I said to myself, did they know this was coming? Well, what do I come to find out? According to NBC, Lonnie Davis, again representing Shannon Sharpe, has confirmed that Sharpe apparently made a financial offer to this Jane Doe to try to settle this case before she filed.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
Well, it seems he first said that it was tens of millions of dollars, then clarified and said it was at least $10 million. So the idea that if that's true, they tried to get to settle it, and then she files, and now they have their messages ready. What does that tell you?
Listen, I think that's part of what Busby has been doing historically. Like, they approach you and they tell you, listen, we have this. Let me know if you want to resolve this previously. I think if anybody looks at, like, the P. Diddy didn't do it, right? And then they filed against him and he settled the case in a day. We see the value of resolving cases. So I think it's on par with how Busby has been litigating his prior cases to give them an opportunity. When you look at it, settlement negotiations are usually privileged. If someone hears that he offered $10 million, what is a normal person going to think? He's guilty of something. Because people don't just, even if you're rich, don't go out there throwing around tens million or millions of dollars to resolve cases when they're innocent. People are gonna associate that offer of settlement, which they probably shouldn't, but they will. They're gonna associate that offer of settlement with guilt.
At the time of this recording, I haven't seen Shannon Sharpe file a countersuit of any kind, but talk to me if this works. Could he countersue for defamation, or is there a litigation privilege, right? You're allowed to make claims against somebody. You're shielded away from every time anybody sues anybody, the other side will say it's not true. You can't just turn around and say it's defamation, right? I mean, could he sue for defamation?
Right. Well, you're right. There is a litigation privilege regarding defamation actions. So I always tell people this when people ask me, can they sue? People can sue all the time. Whether or not it's going to survive a motion to dismiss, honestly, I've seen it in my career over 22 years. People sue for things that are ultimately going to get dismissed, and it doesn't affect their willingness to do it, their desire to do it. But you're right. There is a litigation privilege because I guess the mindset, the universal mindset is that you don't want to be gagging people in a court of law. You want people to have the freedom to express themselves openly without the threat of litigation while they're in litigation. And that's the entire. So to answer your question, it seems like you're right. A litigation privilege does apply, but nowadays people get sued for all kinds all kind of things.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a countersuit because, again, his perspective is this is blackmail. These are false allegations. And by the way, what's the timing of it?
It is.
And by the way, when we talk about Shannon
Very
Sharpe,
true.
he's a powerhouse in the podcast space. Hosts Club Shay Shay, Nightcap, tons of followers. According to Front Office Sports, he's expected right now to sign a new contract worth more than $100 million. Do you think that comes into play?
Let me get
The problem with
Please.
people that have those types of contracts is it doesn't have to mean that you're guilty or not guilty. Just the news in and of itself is going to affect your ability to get followers, to do your job, and to execute contracts. Now, if he loses $100 million contract because of this, whether there's a litigation privilege or not, you can expect a lawsuit. Even if the standard for a motion to dismiss is lower than the standard for a motion for summary judgment, you could file a lawsuit. You could survive motion to dismiss, and routinely judges don't like to decide cases on summary judgment, and they often say that almost anything is an issue of fact for the jury because they know they're not going to get appealed when they make that type of ruling, and they like to kick it to a jury even if it is the type of case that shouldn't survive motion for summary judgment. So what I'm saying is that even if you have a clear defense, even if they don't have a good case, a lawsuit is still something that can be fruitful to either side.
Do you think this is going to end up settling, or is it now just too far down? How do you settle it without one side looking bad?
The problem is when you're dealing with someone like him, that his livelihood depends on the way that people view him, on whether or not people reject him or not, whether or not people are going to tune in or not. Once we're at this point where me and you are discussing it publicly, and it's out in the media, then how do you really repair his reputation? We look at like Johnny Depp, how Johnny Depp had to spend millions of dollars to sue Amber Heard, and at the end of the day, the entire lawsuit was just for him to get back whatever reputation he had, so it wouldn't affect his ability to make money in the future. So, in my opinion, I think that the genie's out of the bottle, and resolving it at this point isn't going to do anything for his reputation and his career. But you never know.
Yeah, I'm sure. And look, there could be a lot more to this.
Johnny Depp was
as this
innocent,
case ultimately progresses. Mauricio Padilla.
That's wild. I know that was a very interesting clip. Well, I guess we'll wait to see what happens with the Shannon Sharpe lawsuit and also with Christina Formela. I believe I thought she was out on bond, but I actually don't think she is. I have to sneeze again. Hold on a second. I have to sneeze. Excuse me, I had to sneeze like 3 times. I don't want to sneeze in your ear. I actually think she's still locked up. But nonetheless, we'll keep following the case. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you hit the like button. I am going live right after this one, literally like 5-10 minutes, hopping into Karen Reed. So if you are following, come catch up with me. I'm a little behind, but I hope to see you there. And thanks for being here tonight on this live. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.